Hello everybody, welcome back to Modern Meta Matchups. And today we have, again, two great decks on top of the meta right now. We have Elementals, which will be played by myself. And what are you going to be playing for us today, JC?
I'm playing the Izzet Tempo deck that's kind of been the focus of a lot of people's attention in Modern right now. So we're going to see how these two decks do.
Right, and these decks do, again, pull a lot from Modern Horizons 2.
Yep.
My deck has all of those Elementals that have the evoke cost attached to them from Modern Horizons 2.
Solitude, Endurance, Fury.
Exactly.
Scary cards for sure.
And JC's got some of those Modern Horizons 2 cards as well.
Yeah, Ragavan is in this deck. Dragon Rage Channeler's in this deck. Murktide Regent.
Yep.
Very powerful threats that definitely want me to play a bunch of instants and sorceries as well. So, and I get to play with Counterspell for the first time, so that's pretty cool.
Right, so a lot of Modern Horizons 2 influence here. It should be some fun games here. And if you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button. You can do so in the bottom corner. It'll say subscribe if you haven't done so already. And hit that like button. Let us know that you liked the video.
Leave us a comment down below telling us what decks you'd like to see and, what you thought of these games. What other content you'd like to see on the channel.
Exactly. And without any further ado, we'll go ahead and jump into game one.
Let's do it.
All right, we'll go ahead and jump into that gameplay, and JC has won the die roll off camera. Unfortunately, got a 12. What a jerk.
Yeah, I know. How dare I? This hand's decent enough that I can keep it.
I think I can do a little bit better than this.
So this is an interesting opening hand, but I really want to keep it pretty much because of one card. I've got 3 lands, a Spirebluff Canal, a Scalding Tarn, and a Mountain, so I've got my mana base, that's fine. But I've got a Ragavan. I really just want to get the monkey out on turn 1, and I want to start smacking Austin, making some treasures, exiling stuff off the top, maybe casting some of it if it's good. I've got a Lightning Bolt and an Unholy Heat to deal with whatever gets in Ragavan's way, and I've got a Spell Pierce. It's not the greatest in this, but he does play things like Teferi and Brennan 6, so maybe if he tries to get one of those down early on, I have a shot at countering one of those. We'll see what happens.
All right, let's see if we can get 6 cards that we like out of these 7.
Let's hope. I want a good game.
Yeah, me too.
Good fun game of Magic.
This hand isn't amazing, but I think I can keep it, and I think I'm just going to put this one on the bottom.
Sounds good.
All right, so looking at my opening hand here, it's okay. I am on a mulligan, unfortunately, so I don't really want to go too much deeper. I do have 3 lands, which are great. I have Windswept Heath, a Cavern of Souls, as well as a Flooded Strand. On top of that, I have some spells, although none of them are elementals. I'll probably find some at some point. I have a Teferi, which might be able to do some work, cut off any potential counter spells or anything like that. Maybe draw me a card. I have a Utopia Sprawl, which can help me get ahead on mana. Maybe play it on the first turn and have 3 mana on turn 2. And then I have a Prismatic Ending, which can deal with one of his early threats, either Ragavan or Dragon's Rage Channeler. And then I was on a mulligan, so I had to put a card to the bottom. And in this hand, I have Ephemerate, and I have no creatures, so I'm not going to risk trying to keep that and get value from something that I don't even have in my hand yet. So that's the card that's going on the bottom.
Alrighty, so first thing I want to do is play this Spirebluff Canal.
You got it.
And then we're going to get up to some monkey business.
That's a monkey.
And then it's going to go right over to you.
I don't like monkey. I think monkey changes everything. Yeah, it is good for you. Not as good for me. I'm going to go with a Flooded Strand here. I'll immediately sacrifice it and grab an untapped Temple Garden. Okay. And I will cast Prismatic Ending, targeting Ragavan.
Well, I'm sad, and he's in exile.
No more monkey business for you.
No, apparently not.
Go ahead.
All right, I'm going to untap, draw a card. Okay. I'm going to play a Mishra's Bauble.
You got it.
And I'm going to immediately sacrifice it, targeting myself.
All
I'm
right.
going to look at the top card of my library.
Do you like what you see?
I actually think that I do, so I'm going to put that right back, and I'm going to play a Mountain, and I'm going to pass the turn.
All right. I'll untap, and on my upkeep, You get to draw a card,
I do.
and then I'll draw for turn. I am going to play a Windswept Heath. I will sacrifice it and grab a breeding pool. I'll pay 1 with breeding pool here.
Okay.
And attempt to cast Utopia Sprawl on my Temple Garden.
I'm actually going to Spell Pierce that.
That hurts. That happens. And Utopia Sprawl will get countered. I cannot pay 2. So then I'll pass the turn.
Okay. All right, so this Utopia Sprawl is a Spell Pierce target. I don't know when's the next time he's going to play another non-creature spell. He might just run out a bunch of creatures, and I might do nothing with this. So he doesn't have the 2 mana to pay for it. I might as well use it right now.
Oh no, Spell Pierce. I wasn't thinking that was something that could happen here. That's really bad. I needed this mana so that I could cast the Ren and 6 this turn, and I was gonna have all my colors. Now I don't have red mana, and looking at my hand, I only have Cavern of Souls, which means I can't ever actually cast this Ren and 6 anymore. Him countering this Utopia Sprawl is the worst thing that could have happened to this hand. I need to draw red mana in order to be able to do anything, so hopefully I can find it soon.
I will untap and draw a card. I will play a Scalding Tarn, and I will pass the turn.
I'll untap and draw. That's a pretty good one there. I'm going to play a Cavern of Soul. And I am going to name Elementals.
Alright, that's fair. That's fair.
Big surprise. I'll pay 3 mana, including 1 of it to make it uncounterable, and attempt to cast Risen Reef.
Well, I can't counter it, so that happens.
So when Risen Reef enters the battlefield, I get to look at the top card of my library, and if it's a land, I can put it into play, or I may not. Unfortunately, I'm just going to draw this card. And then I'm all set. I'll attempt to pass the turn.
Well, on your end step, I'd like to fetch for an untapped Steam Vents.
Okay.
Still on your end step, I'm going to flash in a Brazen Borrower.
Yeah, that happens.
Okay.
That's a clock.
Yeah. I will then untap.
You sure you don't want to bounce my Risen Reef so that
No,
I can
I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm
get
gonna
more
draw
triggers?
a card.
No.
No. I'm gonna play this tapped Spire Bluff Canal.
Sure thing.
And then I think that's quite the value engine, so I'd like to deal 2 damage to it.
As it has 1 toughness, it'll die.
I'd then like to go to combat.
Yep.
And get you for 3.
I take 3.
And then I'm just gonna pass the turn.
I'll untap and draw. And would have been nice if that Risen Reef was still out, but I'll do it again.
All right, fair enough.
Only 1 trigger. So I'll draw and go to my end step again.
Okay. I think because it's so close, I'm just gonna go ahead and cast a Lightning Bolt.
Yep.
And another Lightning Bolt, both targeting you.
All right, I take 6.
And I will untap, draw. I will attack you for 3.
I go to 2.
And I will play a Dragon Rage Channeler.
Is that a 3/3?
It is not currently a 3/3.
Not
I only
yet?
have 3 card types in my graveyard currently. I have a land, an instant, and an artifact.
All right.
I will pass the turn.
And we're gonna need a good draw here.
So I had Austin at 11, and I thought maybe I should hold one of these bolts for a threat or something like that, but I know if I cast them both here, I can do 9 to him in total between those 2 and swinging with this Brazen Borrower next turn. That puts him at 2. If I draw a Snapcaster Mage or any other Lightning Bolt or similar, he's dead. He's very, very dead. So I just got to go for it and hope that the top of my deck wants to kill Austin as badly as I do.
So I'm looking pretty dead here. He's got 2 creatures on board. One of them's a Brazen Borrower. The other one's a Dragon's Rage Channeler that's very close to being a 3/3 flyer. And I'm sitting here with just a Risen Reef. Not really going to cut it. And I only have 3 mana, of which only 2 of them are actually colored, and I'm just kind of going through. I've got some Teferis, I've got some Wrenn and 6s, but I do have this Flamekin Harbinger, and I'm thinking to myself, what can I grab what's going to kind of help me? And then I remember Flamekin Harbinger can go get elementals, and I have Fury in the deck. And because of Risen Reef on the battlefield, I can draw that Fury and deal with both problems. So thankfully, I do have a solution for this, although I'm still only at 2 life, and it's not where I want to be. My hand's not amazing, but I do have one pretty good play.
Okay.
And that is to cast Flamekin Harbinger.
Ah, okay.
And I'm going to go ahead and stack the trigger such that I search first, and then I'm going to draw.
Got it.
And I will be grabbing a Fury to put on top of my deck.
Hmm.
Right, and then Risen Reef, I get to... It's not a land, so I'll just put it in my hand.
Yeah.
And then I would like to evoke my Fury by exiling a Red and 6.
Hmm. I see.
And when it enters, for good measure, I'll deal 2 damage to each of these.
I am sad, but it happens.
And then also when Fury enters, Risen Reef triggers again.
Yep.
That'll go to my hand. And I will cast a Utopia Sprawl on Temple Garden.
Well, I don't have the Spell Pierce this time.
I'll name Red.
Yeah.
And I'll cast an additional Wrenn and 6.
You got it.
I do have lands in my graveyard. I'll go ahead and plus Wrenn and 6 to get back my Windswept Heath.
Okay.
That was a pretty decent turn.
Yeah, I would say so.
And because I haven't played a land yet this turn, I'll go ahead and play said Windswept Heath.
You got it.
Pass the turn.
Okay. I will untap. I will draw a card. Card makes me sad. So I think what we're supposed to do here is just dash this Ragavan and force you to get rid of one of your creatures. I'm going to attack you for 2.
I am going to block with a Flamekin Harbinger. And before damage, I'm going to sacrifice my Windswept Heath and grab a Plains.
Okay.
And I will cast Ephemerate.
Okay.
Targeting my Flamekin Harbinger.
Yeah. Get to repeat your trick. That's
so it'll go away and come back.
Yep.
And I will put Solitude on top of my library and then draw it with the Risen Reef.
Yep, you sure will.
Alright. So then I will put this into my hand.
Yep. And Ephemerate will go into exile with Rebound.
Exactly. And then damage, kind of nothing happens.
Yep. I have to pass the turn. This goes back to my hand because I dashed it.
Yep. Go to my turn. On my upkeep, I'll cast Ephemerate again on the Flamekin Harbinger.
Yep.
And I will put Omnath on top of my deck.
Okay.
And then I'll get to draw it off of the Risen Reef trigger and then draw for turn.
Yep. All the things.
Exactly. So I'll pay 4 mana. And I'll cast Omnath, Locus of Creation. I'll go ahead and have my Risen Reef trigger first.
Yep.
I'll put this land into play tapped. I gain 4 life.
You do.
And then I get to draw a card off of Omnath.
Yep.
I'll plus Wrenn and 6 to return this Windswept Heath to my hand.
You sure will.
I'll play Windswept Heath.
So you get to add 1 mana of red, green, white, and blue.
That's correct. I'll go ahead and use 3 of it, and I'll leave a red floating to cast Teferi Time Raveler.
Okay.
I'll just plus my Teferi up to 5. And I'll go to combat and attack for 1.
I sure am taking 1.
And then I'll pass the turn.
Okay. I don't think there's really much that gets me out of this.
No, I barely hung on long enough to get the value train rolling.
Yeah. Well, this is a rebuy.
Yep.
So let's go ahead and sacrifice Fiery Islet to draw a card. I see. Yeah, I'm just going to pass the turn.
At the end of your turn, I'll go ahead and ephemerate my Omnath to draw some extra cards.
And that ephemerate goes into exile.
Yep. So Omnath enters. I'll go ahead and do the Risen Reef trigger first.
Sure.
Draw a card and then draw off of Omnath.
Sure.
Go to my upkeep. I'll cast Ephemerate again. I'll just do the Risen Reef this time.
Sure.
So I can get in for some more damage. So when it enters, I get to do this. I'll put this Misty Rainforest into play tapped. I gain 4 life.
You gain 4 life. Oh, how this game has gotten away from me.
I will plus Ren and 6 to get back this Flooded Strand. I'll play that as my land for the turn.
Okay.
And get 4 mana.
You sure will.
I'll use 3 of that mana to put Kahira, the Orphan Guard,
there we go.
into my hand. And then I'll use that and 2 more mana to cast Kahira.
Sure does happen.
And then I would like to go to combat.
Okay.
And attack for 5 and 7.
I will take 7 and go to 9, just like you.
I'll plus my Teferi again. And I'll pay 3 mana for another copy of Risen Reef.
Yep. Triggers twice.
Triggers twice. We'll get a land. You take 4.
I take 4.
And that goes to hand. And then I think I've done enough damage this turn. I'll pass.
Have you now? Well, there's no way out of this with what I have. I think we should just go to game 2.
Sounds good. Alright, so for going into the sideboarding here, there's not a whole lot of changes I want to make, except I do really want to bring in these 2 copies of Endurance. I already have 2 in the main deck, but these 2 are sitting in the side. And JC does rely on his graveyard quite a bit.
I do.
He's got the Delirium cards. He's also got the Murktide Regents. If I can get this Endurance out before he's able to delve away the cards, I can prevent him from playing said Murktide, or maybe make it so that if he is able to play later, it'll be smaller because I get rid of all of his instants and sorceries earlier in the game.
Definitely.
It's also just a nice 3/4 reach blocker that I can flash in. So 3 mana is not very hard to get to, so it's reasonable to cast. As far as what I'm taking out, I'm just taking out 2 copies of Teferi. They're a little bit slow in this matchup, and all of his cards, the only thing that I really want to be bouncing with it is maybe a Murktide Regent. Everything else only costs like 1 mana, and it's not very relevant most of the time. And for 3 mana, I'd rather be playing things like Endurance.
Yeah. I'm actually swapping out quite a few things. I'm taking out a whole bunch of counter magic because there's not a lot of non-creatures you play that I super care about. Ren and 6 I do care about, and Teferi a little bit, but these are one-ofs in the deck, so I don't mind cutting them and bringing in more things that'll deal with creatures. And similarly, my counter spells that do deal with your creatures, you have 4 Cavern of Soul in your deck, and that makes it kind of difficult to interact with those on the stack. And then I decided to take out 1 of the Expressive Iterations. It's a little slow because I don't really want to play it till like turn 3, so I can play a land out of exile or something like that. But what I am bringing in are 2 Void Mirrors, so that the evoke costs are actually not gonna be a big plus for you, because if you're not paying mana, then they just get countered. I'm bringing in a Subtlety, which seems weird with the Void Mirrors, but this is a reasonable sized body with flash and flying later in the game, and it lets me interact with your creature spells on the stack without having to worry about the Cavern of Souls. Ether Gust the same way, and then 2 more Braids to just remove the creatures with 3 or less toughness on the battlefield.
We'll go ahead and get into game 2. All right. 7 new cards. My favorite.
I'm still going first.
Hopefully, I never get to go first.
You know what? I think I can keep this hand.
I almost can, but I'm not going to.
All right. That was a rough comeback, but we got to turn right around and come right back at him. So I've got a Void Mirror in this hand, which makes it pretty tempting to keep. I've got 3 lands, which is exactly what I want to see. That's going to let me cast all my spells. I've got a Mishra's Bauble, so I can look at the top card and decide if I want to keep it and play the Spire Bluff Canal or shuffle it away with the Scalding Tarn. I've got a Flooded Strand for later. I've got a Murktide Regent, which is a pretty big threat against Austin and something he has a hard time removing. And I've got a Serum Visions to set up my next couple of draws. I'm pretty happy with this hand.
All right, 6 worked out last time. Let's see if it works out this time.
There you go.
I think I can deal with this, and we're just gonna probably put this one here on the bottom. That makes pretty much the most sense. And so going into game 2, again, I had to mulligan, which means I only get to play with 6 cards, but these 6 cards are pretty good. I have 2 lands. I have a Temple Garden and a Misty Rainforest. Really glad that I have this fetch land because I do have ways to take advantage of that with this hand. I have 2 Wrenn and 6s. One of them is going to go to the bottom because I do have to put something to the bottom, and you don't really need 2 of the same Planeswalker. So I'll be able to continue to get this land back again and again, hopefully, and the fact that I have 2 lands won't really matter. Thankfully, I do have some 1-drops here. I have a Utopia Sprawl, which can help me get to 3 mana by turn 2, as well as an Ephemerate, which goes really well with the last card in my hand, which is Risen Reef. So hopefully I can play this on turn 2, start accruing value, maybe Ephemerate if I need to, and be able to just draw more and more cards, get more lands into play, and just take control.
All right, so I'm going to lead things off with a Mishra's Bauble.
Okay.
And I'm going to immediately sacrifice it, targeting myself.
You want to see the future.
I want to see the future.
What does the future entail? A shuffle?
The future entails me playing this here Scalding Tarn.
I see.
And immediately shuffling away to get an untapped Steam Vents.
Sure thing.
All right, I'm going to tap that for a blue and cast Serum Visions.
Yeah, you get to draw a card.
I do.
And then see the future more.
I will draw a card. Okay. I will scry 2. You know, I like both of those, so we're just going to leave them where they are.
I don't like that.
And then I will pass the turn to you. And I'll draw a card on your upkeep.
You got it. I'll play a Temple Garden untapped. And I'll play Utopia Sprawl.
I see.
I don't think I'm getting countered this time.
Nope.
The color I'm going to name is blue.
Okay.
And then I'll pass the turn.
All right. Well, I will draw for the turn. Oh, look, it was that card I knew about. Well, I'm going to play a Spire Bluff Canal.
Yep.
And let's get into some sideboard cards. I got a Void Mirror.
You got a Void Mirror.
And I will pass the turn to you.
I'll untap and draw. I'll play Stomping Ground untapped.
Yeah.
And I'll play a Risen Reef.
Yeah, you sure will.
Trigger.
Yep.
And that goes to my hand. Go ahead.
Okay. Untap. And a draw. Well, we did see how strong the Risen Reef was last time, so I'm gonna go ahead and hit it with an Unholy Heat.
Risen Reef will die.
Then I'm going to play a Flooded Strand.
Yep.
And I'm going to go get another untapped Steam Vents.
Sure thing.
And since I have 2 blue mana and 5 cards in my graveyard, I'm going to cast a Murktide Regent.
Yeah, that happens.
And it's going to come in with 2 +1/+1 counters.
5/5.
And I will pass the turn to you.
I'll untap and draw a card. And I don't like that Murktide Regent very much.
I understand that.
So I'd like to cast a Fairy, Time Reveler.
I see.
I would like to immediately -3 to Fairy and send Murktide back to the Shadow Realm. That is known as your hand.
That's where it goes.
And I get to draw a card.
You do.
I will then play a Misty Rainforest as land for turn.
Okay.
And I don't have anything else to do, so I'll just pass the turn right.
All right. I will draw for the turn. I am going to Thought Scour myself.
Yep.
So I will mill 2 cards, a Steam Vents, and a Lightning Bolt, and then I will draw a card.
You got it.
I will then Sick Hour myself once more.
Okay.
Mill 2 cards, an Unholy Heat, and an Abrade, and I will draw a card. Then I will cast a Lightning Bolt targeting Teferi.
Yeah, Teferi dies.
And I will play a tapped Spire Bluff Canal as my land for the turn, and then it's all you.
At the end of your turn, I'll go ahead and sacrifice my Misty Rainforest and just grab a tapped Hallowed Fountain.
You got it.
And then I'll untap and draw. Not gonna lie, that's pretty good here. I'll play Windswept Heath as land for the turn.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and sacrifice it to grab a forest.
Okay.
And I will pay 3 mana to cast Endurance.
Yeah, that's a thing.
I would like to put all of your graveyard on the bottom of your library.
Well,
in a random order.
In a random order. That makes me really sad.
I don't want Murktide Regent coming back next turn.
That's fair.
And then I'll just pass the turn.
Okay. I will draw. I see. Well. Not nothing. I will play a 1/1.
You got it.
Dragon Rage Channeler is very sad that you put so many cards on the bottom. But
No more Delirium.
no more Delirium. After that, I'm going to pass the turn.
Okay. I'll untap and draw. I think I'm just going to go ahead and put a card in your graveyard possibly by casting Ren and 6.
Yeah.
I'd like to -1 Ren and 6 to deal 1 damage to Darcy.
And there goes Darcy.
I'll go to combat and I think I'm not going to attack here. I don't really want to see a Ragavan or anything come at me.
Fair, fair.
So I'll just pass.
Okay. I will untap and draw. See. Well, I'm going to play a Fiery Islet. I think I'm going to go ahead and just sacrifice it to draw a card.
You got it.
Interesting, interesting. I will pass the turn.
Okay. I'll untap and draw. I'll plus Ren and 6 to get back this Windswept Heath. I'll go ahead and play that as my land for the turn.
You got it.
I'll go to combat. Attack for 3.
I have no blocks. I will take 3.
And then I'll sacrifice Windswept Heath to grab another forest.
Okay.
Then I'll go ahead and pay 3 mana to put Kahira into my hand.
Okay.
And attempt to pass the turn.
Yeah, I think we're gonna go ahead and cast an Ether Gust here, targeting your Ren and 6.
Yep. Ren and 6 will go on the bottom of my deck.
You got it. I'll untap and draw a card. Play a Fiery Islet. Once again, I would like to sacrifice it to draw a card.
I'm going to respond.
Okay.
I'm going to cast Ephemerate, targeting my Endurance.
Okay.
So Endurance will get flickered, and I'll go ahead and put your graveyard back on the bottom of your deck.
You got it.
So JC was kind of able to cast this Murktide Regent before the turn even started, but it was going to take up his entire turn, and I wasn't super worried about it. But then he plays the Fire Islet, and he goes to sacrifice it, and now he's got more card types in the yard. I think he might have Delirium or close to it, and I just kind of want to limit what's going to happen here. I have 2 Ephemerids still in my hand, so I figure I'll just make it so he can't even cast the Murktide Regent. So I'd go ahead and blink my Endurance here. Cut him off of it entirely. I think it's a good play.
So, Murktide Regent was supposed to be the threat that Austin couldn't remove. And he took out 2 Teferis in sideboarding. And then he still had one. And he bounces it to my hand. Okay, I can come back from that. Then he removes my graveyard. Then I fill it back up again. Then he removes it again. Does he just have everything? I'm so sick of Endurance. Stop enduring, Austin.
Don't want that Murktide coming out.
Fair enough. And then I will draw a card. And I will play a Dragon Rage Channeler.
You got it.
And then I will pass the turn.
Go to my upkeep, and I'm just going to let Ephemerate get exiled.
Okay.
I'm not going to bother doing nothing. And then draw. I'll play Wooded Foothills as land.
Mm-hmm.
And pay 3 mana to cast Kahira.
Yeah.
And then I'll go to combat.
Mm-hmm.
Attack for 4.
I'm just going to take the 4.
And then I'll pass the turn.
Okay. Alrighty. Alrighty. Well, Kahira's got to go, so let's cast Unholy Heat on her.
Surveil trigger.
Yep. I will look at the top card, and I will leave it where it is.
Kahira will die.
Okay. And then I will pass the turn.
At the end of your turn, I'll go ahead and just sacrifice Wooded Foothills and grab a tapped Sacred Foundry.
You got it.
And then go to my turn and draw a card. It's not awful. I'll play Flooded Strand as land for turn.
Okay.
Attack for 3.
Before blockers,
Yep.
I'm going to cast a Snapcaster Mage.
You got it.
And I'm going to target Unholy Heat for flashback this turn.
Okay.
And I will flash it back on the Endurance.
Okay.
And then I will block with Snapcaster Mage.
I'll respond.
Okay.
I'll tap for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Mm-hmm.
I'll cast Solitude.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll exile the Snapcaster Mage.
Okay.
You gain 2 life.
I do.
And then I'll just pass the turn.
Okay. Okay. I think what I'm going to do here is, just to keep your clock a little slower, I'm going to Lightning Bolt targeting the Solitude and Surveil.
You get to Surveil.
Okay. Yes, we will put Misty Rainforest in the graveyard.
You have 2 cards in hand.
I do.
I am going to respond by sacrificing Flooded Strand to grab a Plains.
Okay.
So with this Plains here, I'll go ahead and cast Ephemerate, targeting Solitude.
Yep.
Solitude will get exiled, come back, exile the Darcy.
And the Lightning Bolt does not resolve. I will go
To
up
10.
to 10.
And then...
And then
yeah.
I'm just passing, yeah.
On my upkeep, I have Ephemerate, but I'm not going to recast it. I'll just go ahead and let it stay exiled.
Sounds good.
And then go to draw. I'll go to combat and attack for 6.
I sure am going to 4.
And I gain 3.
Yep, you go to 14.
And I'll pass the turn.
Right. Well, I did draw a land, which would have allowed me to cast the Murktide Regent this turn, but unfortunately it comes in tapped.
I see.
And the other card in my hand is just another Void Mirror, so I am very dead.
Ah.
And that's the end of our games.
Yeah, good games.
Yeah.
Those were crazy games. I didn't realize elementals could pack quite a punch like that.
That game 1 was so close.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I was down to 1 life.
We were at 1 life, yeah.
Down to 2, had to fetch down to 1, but man, Fury bringing me back.
Came right back, yeah. It was good. That was good.
Luckily I was able to deal with that Murktide. I had all the pieces that I needed in that second game, but or else that thing would have probably run away at the game.
Almost certainly, yeah. Yep.
And if you like our content, you can, keep up to date by hitting the subscribe button. That'll be right around there.
And right over here, you're going to find another one of our videos that you should definitely check out.